This is the Sabbath School lesson for the third quarter 2020.
Lesson 11, sharing the story of Jesus for September 5 to 11, ready for teaching on September 12. Read by Dr. Percy Harrold. Tuesday, September 8, telling the story of Jesus. Who were the first missionaries that Jesus ever sent out? They were not among the disciples. They were not among his lifetime followers. The first missionaries that Jesus sent out had been madmen, demoniacs who a few hours before had terrorized the countryside and struck fear into the hearts of the neighboring villages. With supernatural demonic power, one of these demoniacs broke the chains that bound him, shrieked in horrific tones, and mutilated his own body with sharp stones. The agony of their voices often reflected a deeper agony in their souls, as we read in Matthew 8, verses 28 and 29. When he had come to the other side, to the country of the Gergesenes, there met him 2 demon-possessed men coming out of the tombs, exceedingly fierce, so that no one could pass that way. And suddenly they cried out, saying, "What have we to do with you, Jesus, you Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before the time?" And in Mark chapter 5, verses 1 to 5, we read, "Then they came to the other side of the sea, to the country of the Gadarenes, and there he had come out of the boat. Immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit, who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no one could bind him, not even with chains, because he had often been bound with shackles and chains, and the chains had been pulled apart by him, and the shackles broken in pieces. Neither could anyone tame him, and always, night and day, he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying out and cutting himself with stones." But then they met Jesus, and their lives were changed. They would never be the same. Jesus drove the tormenting demons out of their bodies into a herd of pigs and over a cliff into the sea, as we read in Matthew 8, beginning at verse 32. "And he said to them, 'Go.' For when they had come out, they went into the herd of swine, and suddenly the whole herd of swine ran violently down the steep place into the sea, and perished in the water. Then those who kept them fled, and they went away into the city and told everything, including what had happened to the demon-possessed man. And, behold, the whole city came out to meet Jesus, and when they saw him, they begged him to depart from their region." And in Mark chapter 5, beginning at verse 13, "And at once Jesus gave them permission. Then the unclean spirits went out and entered the swine. There were about 2,000. And the herd ran violently down the steep place into the sea, and drowned in the sea. So those who fed the swine fled, and they told it in the city and in the country. And they went out to see what it was that had happened." Question. Read Matthew chapter 8, verses 28 to 34. What happened to these men, and what did the townspeople find when they came out to see what had happened? Matthew 8, beginning at verse 28 again. "When he had come to the other side, to the country of the Gergesenes, there met him 2 demon-possessed men coming out of the tombs, exceedingly fierce, so that no one could pass them way. And suddenly they cried out, saying, 'What have we to do with you, Jesus, you Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before the time?' Now a good way off from them there was a herd of many swine feeding. So the demons begged him, saying, 'If you cast us out, permit us to go away into the herd of swine.' And he said to them, 'Go.' So when they had come out, they went into the herd of swine. And suddenly the whole herd of swine ran violently down the steep place into the sea, and perished in the water. Then those who kept them fled, and they went away into the city and told everything, including what had happened to the demon-possessed men. And behold, the whole city came out to see Jesus, and when they saw him, they begged him to depart from their region." The demoniacs were now new men transformed by the power of Christ. The townspeople found them sitting at the feet of Jesus, listening to every word from the Master's mouth. We should note that Matthew's Gospel says that there were 2 demoniacs delivered, while Mark's Gospel focuses the story on only one of the 2. But the point is, Jesus restored them physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Question. Read Mark chapter 5, verses 18 to 20. Obviously, the changed demoniac, this new convert, wanted to stay with Jesus, but what did Christ send him to do? Mark 5, beginning at verse 18. And when he got into the boat, he who had been demon-possessed begged him that he might be with him. However, Jesus did not permit him, but said to him, Go home to your friends, and tell them what great things the Lord has done for you, and how he has had compassion on you. And he departed and began to proclaim in Decapolis all that Jesus had done for him, and all marvelled. Ellen White writes in The Desire of Ages, page 340, For a few moments, only these men had been privileged to hear the teachings of Christ. Not one sermon from his lips had ever fallen upon their ears. They could not instruct the people as the disciples who had been daily with Christ were able to do, but they bore in their own persons the evidence that Jesus was the Messiah. They could tell what they knew, what they themselves had seen and heard and felt of the power of Christ. This is what everyone can do whose heart has been touched by the grace of God." End of quote. Their testimonies prepared Decapolis, 10 cities on the shores of the Sea of Galilee, to receive the teachings of Jesus. This is the power of personal testimony.
Hi there. Thanks for watching this video on the Advent-band Ministries YouTube channel. Please subscribe and click the bell icon to be alerted whenever we upload new videos. So, until we meet him in the clouds, may God continue to bless you.
This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind and Hearing Impaired, Christian Record Services for the Blind, the Sabbath School Department, and Hope Channel. You can also listen on the official Sabbath School 4 app and the Apple iTunes app, Sabbath School with Percy Harrold. Remember, God is always faithful.